Hello and welcome to Pensions in 10 with me, David Brooks, and my colleague, Simon Kew. Happy New Year to all our listeners, or our one listener, as Simon likes to talk to. You're very special.
The listener and viewer.
Yeah. So we're back. This will be our third calendar year of doing Pensions in 10. And if you're new to Pensions in 10, we just want to give you a quick reminder of what we're doing and why we sit here. So every week, Simon and I get together, usually on a Monday morning, but it has been other times, but just to get together and look back at the past 7 days and give you what we see as the bigger pensions stories to keep you appraised of what's going on in the world of pensions policy, but sometimes more technical things, whatever HMRC might be doing, what DWP might be doing, the Ombudsman, the regulator, obviously, FCA. So there's lots of things to talk about. We're never short of stories. We also wanted to give you a few stats of our year, and last year, 2024, was a big year for us. We did 46 episodes. We had a slight break over Christmas and the summer holiday as well. I hope you excuse us for that. And we had around, we have to look at this, I can't remember, 35,000 impressions, or over 35,000 impressions, which we're very grateful about for you people watching our videos on LinkedIn. That's where most of these stats come from. 25,500 views, so that's people actually watching our videos, and that is an incredible number. We can't quite believe that, to be honest. We have double checked it, triple checked it. It's definitely right. So we host these videos on LinkedIn as probably the easiest way for many of you to see them, but we also have them on our website, and from our website you can subscribe, and then the videos can drop directly into your inbox, usually on a Wednesday morning. So we upload these on LinkedIn on a Tuesday, and then the gremlins do their stuff with the gremlins. They're not gremlins. Gremlins are bad things. No, the angels back at the office, they stick it on the internet for us. Simon and I don't get involved with that bit, but they'll drop into your inbox on a Wednesday morning, and also on YouTube at the same time. So yeah, you can watch them there, and we love to get comments, and we often do, from people either commenting on the links themselves or contacting us directly, sometimes to comment on our clothing, which isn't always welcome. But you know, you put yourself out there, I think you have to take it sometimes. I always expect more comments on my shiny head. But I got some special moisturising cream, which is meant to have a matte effect. So I've used that this morning. I'm hoping my forehead isn't as blinding as it may be, but we shall see. So yes, we hope you enjoy these rambles and these episodes as we put them together for you each week. And we value your feedback on all of them. If you have things you want us to talk about that we're not covering that you think we missed, then that's definitely very important to us as well. So sit back for the next 10 minutes or so, and we'll take you through the stories that we've spotted over the last few weeks. Okay, Simon, so the Christmas period has been a fairly busy period for pensions. Lots of discussions on what the government have been up to over the last 12 months. So the Conservative government and the Labour government looking at various ways of getting access to pension assets to do their bidding. And LGPS discussions have caught your eye. What have you noticed?
Thanks, Dave. And of course, we are recording this on Monday morning as MPs return to the House from recess. So it could all change by this afternoon. But as we're recording this, there's a lot in the press. You know, Dave, we often call out where there's sort of misnomers and a bit of hyperbole that's unnecessary. There's an awful lot of conflation between public sector pensions, LGPS, and they're sort of believed to be the same thing, and they're not. LGPS is funded, public sector pensions are unfunded, so there isn't a huge pot of money waiting to be used as and when people retire. So there is therefore a deficit because they get paid as they fall due, those public sector pensions. LGPS is a different case. But also, even within that, we have other things. So LGPS, local government pension scheme, there are 86 different funds. Now, Rachel Reeves and our pensions minister as well, Emma Reynolds, have said that they want to consolidate those into 8 mega funds, call them what you will, and actually pool the assets, which currently isn't necessarily the case. So bigger is better, they'll get better investment returns, and then they want them to put a 5% target, I think, is to be set into infrastructure. So LGPS is separate from public sector pensions. We then get articles where I don't want to mention his name, someone that's recently fallen out with Elon Musk, has called for a major review of public sector pensions describing them as Ponzi schemes. Well, first of all, I mean, we touched on Ponzi schemes before, right? This is absolute nonsense, right? It is what it is. It's out there. Everyone can see exactly what it is. It's unfunded. That's assuming he's actually talking about public sector pension funds, but then it sort of conflates with local government as well. So we don't really know what anyone's actually talking about. We're told the local government pension scheme is in surplus. Is that collectively? So are there some that are massively in surplus and some still in deficit? There's a lot of stuff out there that isn't really helpful. It's creating more obfuscation, which is a big one for me on a Monday morning. But there are also some really good things as well, Dave. So the Church of England and one of the local government pension scheme funds, which is London CIV, has committed to £104 million investment into a community housing fund. So these are some of the things that we've covered before as well, that local government pension schemes do invest locally for the benefit of their local communities, which is a very positive thing. And if there is going to be this consolidation, which incidentally, one of the press articles is the bosses of these LGPS funds saying we really don't want to do that. No surprise there, because they all think that their individual fund is doing the best thing that it possibly can for its local area and for its members. They don't want to be told to smash together and cede responsibility or control to another party. So of course they're going to push back against this. But as part of any consolidation, it's really important that the things that benefit the local communities are not lost. But Dave, I think you've got some stats as well, haven't you?
Oh yeah, you were hinting at it, and I was nodding feverishly when you were hinting at them, because it is a mixed bag on the local government pension scheme. The last stats I could find sort of publicly were that around, in aggregate, the LGPS is £45 billion in surplus on a low risk basis. But within that, as you say, there is a wide range. Some as low as 70% funded up to 169% funded. So it's a mixed bag, and we'll know more in a year or so's time, because the next valuation date is due March 25, and so there'll be a lot of work obviously by the LGPS schemes to get their valuation sorted out, and we'll know a lot more about the position. But again, gilt yields are rising. Gilt yields have risen a little bit further in the new year, and so it's likely that the actual cost to the taxpayer and those employers that are funding those pension schemes will be reducing, because hopefully the positions for them will be better. There's been big improvements since around March 22, when previous estimates were made. And so, I'm with you really as well. I find this, it's the popular press. I don't want to put the popular press down, but when they take a story, it always seems to be just, and for us as people who kind of live and breathe this, it's always just sort of a half step off from being quite correct. And it's always with pension stories as well. We've discussed this before about pension stories that are just slightly misrepresented, and it creates this very messy space to have any kind of meaningful discussion. I mean, not much meaningful will happen in the popular press, I suppose, on these type of things. It will happen with LGPS and the government talking about it together and working out what the right thing to do and how to get to the government's goals are in the appropriate way. But you find yourself having to correct half the errors in the stories and the slight things that are slightly off before you can actually make any meaningful sort of points. And also the point, the point in one of the stories we read was around the shadow worker pensions committee representative from the Conservatives was saying, this is the LGPS is becoming a plaything for Labour's ideological project. And I think that's slightly harsh, because I think the Conservatives were on a very similar trajectory with their, Jeremy Hunt. And his Mansion House speech in July 23 was a lot of the beginning of a lot of the conversations around how the government can get hold of pension assets and use in a way that they want them to be used. And while the Tories might have done it slightly differently, Labour are still continuing that conversation, which is why I think a lot of the things that we're talking about, and we haven't really gone to the DC consolidation stuff, I think it will happen, because there isn't going to be very loud protestation from the Conservative government, because I think they would be doing very similar things as well.
I agree, and I think some MPs, and I mentioned the one who's no longer in Elon Musk's good books, when they're making these statements, they really need to remember that their personal pensions, their MPs' pensions, are unbelievably generous. Now, admittedly, it can be a fairly short shelf life as an MP. I mean, if you're just there for the one term, that's not a huge amount going in there. But there was a stat I saw in the Telegraph. Constituents must work 32 years longer than their MP for the same retirement pay. So I think MPs need to appreciate that they are in a very privileged position. Yes, they've been elected to do the people's bidding, but they shouldn't forget the people in any of their policy decisions as well. So, hey, it's a massive topic, Dave. It really is. Public sector pensions do have a huge bill attached to them, but they are pension promises that have been made and they have to be paid as they fall due. So, yeah, lots to be discussed. But rather than conflating everything and chucking everything into one bucket, let's tackle each one individually and deal with the facts rather than hyperbole and I don't know, inflammatory statements.
Well, and some of the inflammatory statements you're talking about, well, just scrapping public sector pensions as they are and changing everything. Okay, maybe public sector pension reform is needed, but about how you do that and how you marry up the differences between salaries and maybe giving people better choices or different choices about what they do with their remuneration packages in the public sector. Maybe that's the way forward, because some people may value salary over pension anyway. So I think they're the conversations that need to be had. But yeah, it's very frustrating.
Well, Dave, that's taken dear viewer and listener through the first Pensions in 10 of 2025. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. I mean, look at our faces. Clearly, we loved it. It was lovely to have you with us. Please continue to like, subscribe, watch us on YouTube, share us with your friends, talk about us down the pub, assuming you're not doing dry January, of course. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for bearing with us, and thank you for your support. Take care.